Hello, everybody. It's me, Drew. I'm here in my bubble. I'm in the bubble by myself. uh, it feels so weird to say that. Also, I'm very this is I didn't test this very well. My apologies. I haven't done a solo show in a while, so I've good morning, Zach. Good morning, Sandy. Hope everyone's doing well. Uh, hope it's a beautiful morning for everyone. We're going to have another Firmly Inc. here today. JBJ messaged me a few days ago and told me that he had some work obligations. So I decided to step in solo, not Sokoa. I remember I had that as a thing down there once because I started doing some stupid stuff down here and not putting my anymore because of like, I don't want people following me. Why do I want people following me on Twitter? Twitter's an awful place. But today the makes a return. So it is there. Again, good morning. Hope the weather is nice. Hope everyone is refreshed, feeling not tired and ready to face the day. Yeah, so a lot has happened over the last week since JPJ and I came here last week and did our Summerslam preview. Lots of news, lots of things. John Cena suddenly just dropped his heel turn. Just, hey, I'm not a heel anymore. SummerSlam, big SummerSlam, 2 nights. I don't know if that's something that I necessarily want going forward again. It's interesting. It wasn't. I'll say it wasn't terrible. Obviously we're kind of used to 2-night shows at this point with WWE with WrestleMania. But hey, that's what happens. Hello, Astrid. Nice to see you. Glad to see you here. I hope you're doing well. So I know we're only 4 minutes in, and there's usually the people trickle in and whatever. I don't anticipate that this show is gonna go the typical length of a Firmly Inc. Because I'm gonna talk, but to be real with you, I'm not gonna be talking too much about everything because if you've seen on my Twitter, I had an announcement about this, which I will get into. Well, we'll get into the details on that in a moment. But I really have had issues, been struggling this year, particularly with my wrestling fandom. And this is both companies. This is not just one company. Unfortunately, my my thoughts have really been with more than one company lately based on certain, moves and things that they've been doing. Uh, well, I'll let's just talk about some stuff. Uh, night 2, night 1 of SummerSlam wasn't terrible. Uh, when I get into the covering of that stuff, I'll discuss, you know, things I liked, things I didn't like, because that's where I am, and we'll get into it. Then some other news came out. Uh, WWE suddenly deciding to stop doing press conferences, and then night 2 happened. Night 2 happened, and night 2 was good. Had a really awesome main event match. But what they ended the show with, that was surprising to say the least. And then, of course, the next day into Tuesday, some other news came out regarding ESPN and WWE, and I'll probably, I'll get into that a little bit. Um, but if you noticed in the title of this show today, I've included wrestling fan therapy session. um, I think some of that may be self-explanatory, but I will need to get into some detail about it. So, time to be real. You may have noticed, as JPJ has sometimes twisted the knife, not maliciously, in good jest, in good fun. Um, the last few episodes, I've not been particularly vibrant and excited to talk about wrestling. Um, maybe you come to expect me to be that. That's a typical thing. I like to be a positive person. I like to, omit positivity in this world because boy, there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of it. Um, I mean, the channel is Love Wrestling after all, right? As JPJ has said, love wrestling. Gotta love wrestling, which I do. I do. I do love wrestling. Um, I'm not somebody that likes to let outside forces affect my viewing experience. We all know Twitter's a cesspool, tribalism and hate and bullshit, you know. And I can put up with that for the most part. However, I've really been struggling lately with something. Since Raw's Netflix debut, WWE has really focused heavily on the entertainment aspect, which they can do. They have the every right to do that. That's their prerogative. That's what they want to do. Um, and what JPJ and I have really decided to do is not make the show political. It's not what you've come to us for. It's not what you expect from us. But for the past few months, I have been forced to see, hear, think, and talk about WWE's new outwardly vocal political stance in multiple aspects. And this past week, it really came to a head to a point that from like Thursday to Monday, I was really being nasty about it on Twitter. And I was feeling like garbage, really. Uh, and really, to be fully transparent with you, after SummerSlam was over, I lost really any good feelings I had about this company. It's just the truth. I have to be honest with you. Um, they have outwardly associated with really terrible people. We live in very interesting times, and not good interesting times for the most part. Um, and wrestling has been my escapism, as it is for many. That's people really treat wrestling as the escape from life, from things going on. I have treated wrestling that way personally. I know many have as well. I watch wrestling to not have to think, see, and hear awful shit. But unfortunately, my escapism now reflects those not good, interesting things that I just referred to. Um, you know, those those awful people that I mentioned, Andrew Schultz, Tony Hinchcliffe, they created a lucha character that had to hail from a body of water that funnily coincided with the renaming of that body of water, stupidly, to the Gulf of America. And people thought too that a lot, and I could speak for myself only here. People may have thought that I was anti El Grande Americano because it was a white guy in a lucha mask. No, no, it's not because of that. Uh, I don't care about that part of it, frankly. If you're interested in that stuff, if that's what you're into, that's fine. I have no problems with that at all. Uh, it was the political aspect of it. The Gulf of America. A man hails from a body of water, not from Mexico, not from South America, the Gulf of Mexico. Hmm, or America rather. Uh, so WWE has taken a stance, basically a "we don't care what you feel about what we do" stance. It's blatantly out there. Um, the thing, unfortunately, I think that were two things that were kind of like the crux of it all, the climax of how I feel now. One of them was what I think a lot of people dreaded ever happening, finally happening, which was on Friday. Donald Trump was shown on SmackDown because Triple H went to the White House. And even with that, I still tuned into SummerSlam and still had to see that video multiple times. But then night two's big surprise happened at the end. Yes, we eat Sandy. Thank you, Ophelia. Nice to see you here as well. Brock Lesnar returned. Brock Lesnar is listed in the Janelle Grant lawsuit. And people will tell you that he didn't do anything wrong and that he isn't being charged. The latter may be true. He's not being charged. But what people don't like to talk about, some people, not everybody, obviously, is that the former isn't true, technically. Um, According to the lawsuit, of course. Uh, Brock Lesnar allegedly, have to say that word, Brock Lesnar allegedly was to have been a willing participant in the sex trafficking of Janelle Grant. In 2021, Vince McMahon, in trying to renegotiate Brock's contract, offered the sexual services of Janelle Grant to him. They did interact very briefly, but never met. He did go through, he never went through with anything physically sexual. He never went through that stuff. but he was complicit because, in the lawsuit, because of a snowstorm one time, and because of being drunk another time, they did not have any physical interaction. That's why. It's in the lawsuit. This is alleged, of course, like I said, but it's in the lawsuit. He's there. Um, and Janelle Grant's representative issued a statement regarding Brock return, which I want to read to you because we're going to do some reading today, unfortunately. Um, and the statement says, for far too long, abuse was allowed to thrive under WWE's leadership. Instead of righting this wrong, WWE has done nothing to ensure those responsible are held accountable. This attempt to sweep misconduct under the rug will backfire. We look forward to the full set of facts, including those about Mr. Lesnar, coming out in a court of law where they belong. But in the meantime, we refer you back to Janelle Grant's updated complaint, which outlines in detail the abuse she endured by McMahon and others while employed at WWE. So, Brock is back and looks to be in a 2025 television program with John Cena in John Cena's retirement year. And I don't give a shit. You know, I don't care. I don't care. Uh, which personally I find a little funny because it was really Brock and John who got me into wrestling back in 2012 when this same exact thing happened. Brock came out and returned and F5'd Cena in the middle of the ring, and it started a feud between them. That's what I saw in 2012, Raw after WrestleMania, and that's why I'm watching wrestling right now. What's particularly shitty about this, though, is really the lack of morality from multiple parties. Since last week, really, morality is just out the window. WWE is a business in no different way of Amazon, Netflix, all those big businesses where it's people over profit, or profit over people rather. Um, and that's their prerogative. They are allowed to do that. They are allowed to be profit over people. They are a business. Most businesses are that. Um, the the twist on it though is that they have now really entered the realm of like that shitty douchebag jock picking on the less unfortunate people. You know, like it's like a high school setting where all the popular football players and the cheerleaders are they're the ones at the table in the cafeteria, and they're just poking fun at all of the less fortunate around them. That's really how it feels right now. Like that's the thing that I get from at least the top brass in WWE. Um, Paul Heyman was on Ariel Helwani's show yesterday or the day before, and he said that the critics involving Brock coming back, the critics need to get over it. The critics need to get over it. Triple H was on ESPN. He says, Brock is back. He does what he wants to do. And a lot of fans are making sure that they tell every single person who feels negatively towards all of this, basically that they're a woke liberal pussy. Just flat out. I've seen that so many times. It's insane. Like 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 sexual assault is a political thing. It's not. There's a right and a wrong. It's very clearly wrong, no matter where you lie on the political sphere, whether you're Democratic, whether you're Republican, whether you're independent, anything. Sexual assault is not political. And of course, again, it is alleged. It is not, because the thing is that Brock is not. This part is correct. Brock is not being sued. WWE and Vince McMahon are being sued. But according to the amended complaint, Brock was playing a role in it. And there needs to be more stuff. When I forgot the name of what it is that they're in right now. Not litigation, it's another word. But I am going to, and I have to do this on my phone, unfortunately, because anytime I go on my computer while I'm running my camera, it just slows down and it looks terrible. And I didn't want to do that today. So I'm on my phone and my laptop today to make sure that and I'm sorry, JPJ, I could have been doing this all the time. I don't know why I wasn't. I just thought about it today for the first time. Discovery. Thank you. Thank you, Ophelia. Discovery. That's the word I was looking for. I have to go to my bookmarks because there's a part that for the people who say, "Oh, yeah, he's not in the lawsuit. Oh, he didn't do anything wrong." I'm going to read to you directly from the lawsuit. Okay? And then you can decide whether you're being truthful about that. All right? There is a specific part in the lawsuit. McMahon uses Miss Grant as a sexual pawn to entice world-famous wrestling talent and to keep Brock Lesnar under contract with WWE. There's a whole section in the lawsuit about that. So there's Brock's name mentioned right there. And as Ophelia mentioned, 44 times his name is mentioned in this lawsuit. So he's definitely mentioned. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's long, but upon information and belief of let me start here. Brock Lesnar is famous worldwide as a top talent from the WWE with a large collective fan base that helped generate viewership and drove in in-person attendance, all of which enriched WWE and McMahon. Accurate. Absolutely accurate. Upon information and belief, McMahon began to recruit Lesnar for a sexual encounter with Miss Grant while she was still a coordinator in the legal department. By July of 2021, McMahon informed Miss Grant that Lesnar would be their next playmate. Okay. There is where is there we go. On or about July 12th, 2021, McMahon directed Miss Grant to create personalized sexual content for Lesnar. Name mentioned once again. McMahon shared the photos with Lesnar and informed Miss Grant that he likes what he sees. Okay. On July 21st, 2021, McMahon flew and or caused Lesnar to fly on a jet into a local airport and travel into Connecticut across state lines for what McMahon described to Miss Grant as a business dinner, as well as a sexual encounter with Miss Grant in McMahon's condo. Upon information and belief, The dinner was to discuss Lesnar's continued involvement with WWE. Prior to the business dinner with McMahon, Lesnar made a brief visit to Miss Grant's building. However, Lesnar did not return to the building for a sexual encounter because he was too intoxicated and taken back to the plane. Name's not mentioned in the lawsuit? Are we sure about that? Later that evening, after McMahon recounted the story about his dinner with Lesnar to Miss Grant, he sought to salvage the night with a request that they role play a sexual encounter in which McMahon acted as if he were Lesnar. And the following 8 to 10 lines of this are very gruesome and disgusting, and I am not going to continue reading that because I want to spare everyone, as well as my eyes and my brain. It's gross. You can go and read it if you want to. Um, the other part of this, where is it? I have to get it right. Miss Grant expressed her apprehension about the arrangement to McMahon and tried to run interference on starting a sexual relationship with Lesnar. In the days that followed, Lesnar revealed a fetish to Miss Grant. Lesnar revealed a fetish to Miss Grant and tested McMahon's promise that Miss Grant would do anything with a request that she send a video of herself doing something. Number one, as lightly as I can put it. Unable to recognize herself, Miss Grant went numb and obeyed. Lesnar informed Miss Grant that if she had not complied with the request, Lesnar would have lost any interest in her and then called her a bitch. He's not in a lawsuit? Are we sure about that? McMahon actively attempted to organize a sexual encounter between Miss Grant and Lesnar, stating, "You have to take a flight to Greensville, South Carolina this Monday, even if it's just to see Brock." And there's a text message image in that says, well, I'm not going to read it because it's just nasty. The same month, Lesnar expressed to Miss Grant his desire to set a play date and have a sexual encounter. McMahon and Lesnar organized an encounter in conjunction with Lesnar's appearance at a show at Mohegan Sun in Uncasville, Connecticut, with Lesnar even sending Miss Grant the address for the hotel where he would be staying. And for the second time, before a sexual encounter was supposed to happen, as I mentioned, a snowstorm changed Lesnar's travel plans. And Miss Grant ultimately used the weather and COVID-19 as an excuse to back out. A snowstorm and being intoxicated. That was what led to Brock Lesnar not having any sexual encounters with Janelle Grant, allegedly, according to the lawsuit. So they say Brock did nothing wrong. Some simpletons on the Twitter sphere, on the internet, say he's not in the lawsuit. Somebody didn't do some reading. That's not true. It's awful and terrifying, as Ophelia eloquently put it. So, because of all of this, Sunday night happens, and I woke up on Monday morning with a very big dilemma. Very big dilemma. Raw was on, and I have Firmly Inc. on Thursday, and I can't bring myself to watch it. And it was on Monday. Coincidentally, JPJ told me that he wasn't going to be able to make the two uh, following Thursday Firmly Inks because of work obligations. And I had a lengthy discussion with him. I took Tuesday to reflect and think further. And on Wednesday, I came to the decision that legitimately hurts me. It does. Because I love JPJ. I love wrestling and everybody here. I cannot in good faith cover WWE. I just can't do it. I made the decision literally a year ago. I'm off by like a day or two. Um, oh, I love you, JPJ. I made the decision a year ago after being pushed very heavily by that man, by being pushed very heavily. We should cover WWE. We should cover WWE. And I said, all right, let's do it. I was into WWE. I was on board with what they were doing. Unfortunately, as 2025 began, the interest kind of slowed down a bit. And by SummerSlam, it kind of just disappeared. It really did. Good morning, Scott. I hope you've been here the whole time, not just coming in right now. I am not able to watch and cover WWE in the way that Firmly Inc. needs it to be done anymore. It's just it's not something that I can do. I just can't do it. And let me be clear about this. Wrestling coverage in podcast form is a job for the most part. There are people out there who get paid to do this, and they do a really good job. I am not one of those people. And that's not anything against Love Wrestling. That's not anything negative towards them. I signed on to do Firmly AEW in the beginning, of my own will, knowing I was doing it for free, wanting to talk about wrestling. I joined in to do Firmly WWE with the same premise. So it was never about money. It was never about any of this stuff. If you are out there and you get paid to do this, get your bag. That's awesome. Good for you. And even if not, even if you're just talking for free and you just want to have fun, do this with other people, do it by yourself, more power to you. I'm not policing your fandom. You feel how you want and you make decisions based on your own feelings. I don't judge. I'm not going to do that. I would never do that. As of right now, WWE is just not for me. If it's for you, you do you. That's cool. I just hate being put in the position where I have to now escape my escapism, which sucks. It sucks, honestly. And now you may be thinking, well, this is also a show about AEW. So what about that? JPJ and I agreed that this show is best as a co-branded show, shouldn't just be about one company. And in the interest of transparency, we have differing viewpoints on watching and covering WWE, which I accept and I respect. JPJ's views and what he wants to do. I've said that to him on and off camera 1,000 times. He has the drive and the dedication for this in ways that I do not right now. And I decided myself that I can't meet the expectations that we both have for this show. So I'm saying goodbye for now. I don't know what is coming down the line. JBJ, I'm sure, will decide whether or not to continue or end firmly for now. Maybe something else comes up. Maybe I decide I want to come back to this in a month, 2 months, 3 months. I don't know right now. But what I know right now for sure is that I can't do it. And what I can tell you as well, I know that this just aligned in such a terrible way for you to have missed the show. I hate it. I really do. Um, what I can tell you for definitively sure. Okay, well there you go, JPJ. I'll put this comment up so this way that's on the screen at least. For now, firmly we'll be going on hiatus. So that is the official word from the man himself. So there you go. What I can tell you is that JPJ and everyone at Love Wrestling are a joy to work with. And this isn't a you have to put me over on your way out type of a thing. Because nobody knew what I was gonna say here. Um, but Spencer Love is a great man, a great friend. He has a passion for this that is so greatly appreciated running LPW and living his dream. Um, Everyone who does content for this platform are genuinely great people on and off screen, really, everybody. Um, and it's a really difficult decision. It's a really difficult decision to do this. So I am going to be, if you're coming in a little early and you didn't hear everything, uh, first of all, hello. It's nice to see you. Firmly, Inc. is done for now. JPJ just said it in the chat for going on a hiatus. And it's me. It's all me. And I take full responsibility for it. It's just not it's not in my it's just something I can't do right now. So you follow me at the Drew Nicholas on Twitter, on Blue Sky. I will be active there. I'm not disappearing. I'm not, vanishing into thin air and you're never gonna see or hear from me again. Um, but just covering this right now in its current way that it needs to be covered I can't do it. I just can't do it. Respect to all of you who can, genuinely. And keep doing it. Keep doing it because it's great. Uh, SummerSlam itself, Fernando, good morning. It's okay. SummerSlam itself was fun. I mean, certain things. I talked really, mostly about what happened at the end of night 2, but Cody and John Cena was incredible. Genuinely, it was a phenomenal match. It may have been one of Cena's best matches, and I don't even know how long. It was great, and it was babyface versus babyface, but Cody was definitely kind of like the heel in that match. And John was phenomenal. Really, it was genuinely a great thing to see. Um, Night 1 was kind of like a slower paced show because obviously night 2 had the um the gimmick matches, the no DQ matches, the steel cage, the street fight, like it was just it was loaded. It was absolutely loaded. Uh, the TLC matches, well, wow, what a match that was. Uh, and I don't really have that many notes on everything. And I know I just like did a whole diatribe about WWE, but I agreed to come here today to do this with respect to JPJ and to this show that we were doing for almost 3 years together. So I'm here to do it, and I'm okay with talking about that. Thank you, Tanner. Good morning to you as well. It's not, trust me, it's not easy. Um, the Bloodline, Jey Uso and Roman versus the Brawns was was a good match. Roman took a lot more than I thought he was going to. And at one point, he even throws Jay out of the way to eat a spear from Braun Breaker. So I feel like he is kind of coming around to being an actual good guy now in a little bit, a little bit. Um, and yes, he did, JPJ. He got his ass beat. He really did. I was very, very impressed. It wasn't what I expected at all. Um, I didn't expect the Bloodline to win either, because I remember last Thursday I had predicted that maybe there'd be a falling out of some sort, and Roman would get a little too in over his head, thinking that he could control Jay and stuff, but that didn't happen. Uh, Bloodline won. Jay Uso pinned Bronson Reed, and that was that. So the next match was the women's championship match, the women's tag team championship match, and I've got to say I was impressed with that as well. I was impressed with that. I did not also expect Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair to win. JPJ called it. He said they were going to win. I didn't agree. Um, but Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez lost, and there was no real dissension between Alexa and Charlotte. They didn't really go into that. They just had a really good match. Yeah. I'm I feel like I'm telepathically being told to put this on screen. So there we go. JPJ is always right. Um Charlexa. That's a really good team name. I don't know, have they been calling them that on TV? If you made that up, Fernando, that's good. I really like that. I hope they call them that going forward. Um Charlexa. Charlexa 1. And of course, with the Sister Abigail that Alexa Bliss has done. And she has a really good Sister Abigail, by the way. She really does. Um, so, his ego, that's so funny that you said his ego grows like Thanos, because wouldn't you know what I have on my desk? So, who's actually Thanos here? Um, so, Karrion Cross and Sami Zayn happened. That was interesting. I am a Karrion Cross guy. I like Karrion Cross. He is, by what every single person has ever said, a just kind-hearted sweetheart of a man, really. And you can see it in a lot of stuff that he's put out when he's just like a genuine person talking. Um, he just seems like a down-to-earth dude. I predicted, and I don't remember if JPJ predicted this as well, that he was gonna lose. Uh, he lost, Sami Zayn won. The match was alright. It wasn't really, like, something to write home about. Um, Sami did the Helluva Kick, and that was it. He won, and there was that, like, added stipulation that he was supposed to both of them were supposed to admit that the other was wrong if they won, but that never really ended up happening. So I don't know what happened there. If that, like, they just decided, "Okay, you just won. That's it. Moving on." I don't know. Um, apparently Sammy got involved in something on SmackDown on Raw, so we'll see what happens there. Um, Jade Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton was after that, and yeah, it was very short. It was like 7.5 minutes or something like that, it came out to. I am not a fan of title matches being very short, unless it's like a full-on squash match where, it's clear and obvious that it's gonna be a squash match. So, this match didn't really do it for me. Some people were thinking that, Jade Cargill was gonna win. I didn't really think that because of 2 things. 1, she's filming a movie. Not that that really matters because people win titles and go and film movies. It's a thing. Um, the other thing was that Naomi had cashed in already. So there was no, "Oh, Jade is gonna win, and then Naomi's gonna cash in on her." Um, it didn't happen because they went in another direction there. So Tiffany Stratton won. I don't know what the heck they do with her now. Uh, I can't think of a person right now that could be the next person that goes after her. 'Cause, Naomi's got Stephanie Vaquer, so I don't know. We'll see. Um, Fernando, you're saying, Jade is not ready yet. I mean, she's I do like her. I do feel like she is a good performer. I do agree when it comes to the wrestling aspect. I'm not that much of a fan. I think that she does have a little bit more improving to do when it comes to, like, not freezing a little bit when when a spot, like, goes away that she didn't anticipate it to. You can kinda, like, see stuff like that. So, but, I mean, again, I like her. I'm not saying this, as a negative towards her at all. Uh, but there is still some improvement that needs to be made. Uh, the semi-main of the show was Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul versus Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. Now, if you remember during the SummerSlam preview show last Thursday, I said, I don't give a shit about this. I went into it not giving a shit about it. When Jelly Roll was involved in the match in the first half of the match, he was really not doing anything special. So, like, right, I think he did like a clothesline or something, an arm. I don't remember what it was exactly. Uh, I'm like, alright, this is just standard fare, hip toss, arm drag, clothesline, you know, standard, I'm a celebrity, and I haven't been doing this for very long stuff. Because there's levels. There's levels to the celebrity wrestling. There's, very low on the totem pole, like a Kevin Federline or a Snooki. And there's a very high levels, like a Bad Bunny. So, where was Jelly Roll gonna fit in that spectrum? Uh, the first half of that match, Jelly Roll was with Snooki and Kevin Federline. They take out, McIntyre and Logan Paul, take out Jelly Roll, work over Orton for a bit. Jelly Roll is getting kind of, like, helped to the back, with they're helping him up and they drag him to the stage. And then he turns around and is like, "Nope, I wanna finish this match. I wanna get in there and help Randy." And that's when it changed for me, because Jelly Roll got into the ring, heaving and huffing and puffing, did a couple of really good moves. Um, he did a really nice choke slam. He did a boss man slam. He did a snap scoop power slam, and then McIntyre had to break the pin. And he did not win. They actually ended up pinning him. He got the pin in this match. Or he was pinned, rather, in this match. And this match was over. And I said, "Holy shit, Jelly Roll actually did a good job." And I genuinely couldn't believe that I said that out loud. I said it out loud. Uh, Now, is it Bad Bunny levels? No, it's not Bad Bunny level, but it's not Kevin Federline and Snooki. So my hat's off to Jelly Roll. He actually did a pretty good job, and I enjoyed the second half of that match. I did not expect him to get pinned. That actually was a surprise. Um, but apparently he actually asked to get pinned, which I think is a very noble thing, and my hat's off to him on that as well. Like, this wasn't just like, "Hey, I'm here to throw a clothesline and get a pop from the crowd and make some money." Like, he put work in for this. So, I commend him for that, and I'm very happy that it ended up being that. And, yes, Fernando, it does seem like he will be doing more with WWE, and, okay, yeah, he's not Snooki. Um, so I have the notes because I didn't take notes myself. I have the notes up from Cage Side Seats, which, for those of you who may not know, I used to work at Cage Side Seats a few years back, uh, getting paid actually to cover WWE. That was the first time and the only time at the moment that I've been paid to cover WWE. Um, and the person who does the live blogs over at Cage Side Seats, if you've ever gone there before. Claire Elizabeth, a lovely, lovely woman, one of the coolest people you could ever meet. Um, not that we met, not meeting in person, but just talk to. I'm sure to meet as well because she's lovely. Um, I'm gonna read to you verbatim what she put in the live blog after this match. Reading this verbatim, quote, "We get another recap of Triple H teaming up with the president of a hostile United States government that wants to eliminate me and mine from public life. But it's okay because WWE isn't political, and this is all just about children's fitness or whatever." I love you, Claire. that's 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 great stuff and true. Unfortunately, I'm laughing because you're great. You're great. Um, the main event: CM Punk versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. This was a match. It was very slow, very old school. Um, the match itself was good. I don't really have any complaints that I can remember. Um, it was it was a good match. It Gunther, there's a moment where Gunther is just really beating the crap out of Punk, and then Punk is able to get back, gets him over the announce table, and then all of a sudden Gunther's gushing blood. At one point, it looked like maybe his nose was broken. And Gunther has, we found out, a legitimate injury. I don't remember. Somebody in the chat remembers. Um, he has a legitimate injury that he is getting taken care of. I don't remember what it is though. I hope he gets better soon. Um, so Punk wins. Punk wins the World Heavyweight Championship. And you can see the emotion in his face. It was really nice moment. And then Seth Rollins' music hits. The one who's injured. The knee was injured. Now, leading up to the show, I had said I believed that the injury was legit. I had started out not thinking the injury was legit. But then I was like, they might be playing us. So I was like, all right, yeah, the injury may be real. JPJ, though, as he said, he's always right. Nope, it's not real. They're talking about him too much. Um, so it comes out. He's on crutches. He's got a knee brace. Uh, Paul Heyman is carrying the briefcase. He's like, I'm gonna, when I'm better. I don't remember what he said, but he was making it seem that like, oh yeah, I'm just here to tell you that when I'm better, I'm coming after you. Blah blah blah. Turns around, starts walking away, stops. First of all, as soon as the music hit, I knew Seth Rollins was cashing in. So when he came out with the crutches, I was like, oh okay, all right. He turns around, he starts walking away. He stops. got the crutches in his hands. He just pushes them away. The crowd starts getting like, "Oh, uh-oh." You can sort of hear, like, that pop, that, like, small pop of the realization that something's about to happen. Then he takes a knee brace off and throws it, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, we know what's happening now." Seth grabs the briefcase from Paul, runs down the ramp, cashes in. Seth Rollins is the new World Heavyweight Championship. Now, I I just wanna say this didn't really do it for me, and I'm gonna say why. If I am supposed to believe that Seth is injured, you did a really awful job telling me that. Because as JPJ said last week, you're talking about him constantly. You're showing vignettes, whatever. That's not what you do when you don't want somebody to be thought about. You do what they've been doing with Liv Morgan. She's mentioned like once here or there. Every time Paul Heyman's in the ring, he's talking about Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, all about Seth Rollins. Now, the theatrics of throwing the crutches and the knee brace and, that part was cool. I like that part. But everyone knew this was gonna happen. Everyone knew that this was gonna happen, and they're calling it the heist of the century, the work of bullshit. Come on. If it if everyone and of course, the thing about the Money in the Bank that makes it interesting, at least, is that it can happen at any time, and you never know when it's gonna happen. Um, of course, even when you kinda do know it's gonna happen, it's a moment. That's what this company is about. It's about moments. Um, and the show ended with Raw's top babyface having just won the World Heavyweight Championship. The show ended with the heel being cheered after having cashed in and won from the top babyface. Because there's nothing about Seth that is a heel in presentation except for that he faces baby faces. That's the only thing that makes him a heel. They've not changed the music that everyone does the chants for and burn it down and oh, every week his music hits, crowd goes ape shit. Braun Breaker, the dogs bark for Braun Breaker. Not a heel type of a thing when you see it, presented. Um, I feel like really the only natural heel in that group is Bronson Reed. He doesn't get cheers when he steals Roman Reigns' shoes. Um, but that's just a weird story beat in this feud that like a guy just takes your shoes from you and nobody, like I didn't watch Raw, but I saw on Twitter, like like every the Vision, I think they're calling them now, Seth's group. Um, yeah, and Heyman even gets cheers too, right? Fernando. Um, the Vision is in the ring after attacking Roman and Punk, and he's got the shoes. Tribal Thief is a funny name. I give you that one, Ophelia. Absolutely. Tribal Thief is funny. Um, and the Shula Fala, also funny. But Adam Pearce is standing in the ring and doesn't do anything. Like Bronson Reed is right there with the shoes around his neck, and you're not grabbing the shoes off of him and giving them back to Roman. Like it's just a weird. The shoe thing is weird. It's weird. But anyway, Seth Rollins is the world heavyweight champion. That's how night one ends. Okay. If Money in the Bank is continuing, which it probably will, we gotta get it on somebody new. We gotta do new things with that. It can't be the same like circle of the biggest baby faces or heels in the last 6 to 8 years of Seth or Roman or Cody. It's gotta be like a Carmelo Hayes, a and on the men's side at least, because they've done a lot better with the women. With Naomi, they did that was a great Money in the Bank run and a cash in. Um, they've done it with Alexa wonderfully. They've done it with Bailey. They've done it with oh my god, who else did they do it with? Carmella. Then there was that that one time where the briefcase, the pandemic one where Becky had to go because she was pregnant, and they just gave it to Asuka. That was a nice moment, at least. It was in the briefcase. She opened it. Um, so they've got to do some new stuff with this because on the men's side, at least, it's been dog shit. It's been dog shit. Uh, for a little while now. The Austin Theory one was the worst. Speaking of Austin Theory, who knows what's going on with him right now? He's not on the active roster. Usually that means they're not there anymore. But we'll see what happens there. So that was night one. Then night two happened, and night two was really where all of the nutty stuff happened. That was the gimmick match show. And let me pull up night two here. I took actually some notes on night two because I watched it without being on social media. I just turned the phone off and I watched the show. Very interesting to do that. You should all do that sometimes. It gives you some extra, makes you just think about what your feelings are without seeing other people's opinions. It's actually a very, very good thing. You should do it more, honestly. Give me a second. My throat is really dry right now. Just give me a second. Oh, I felt a cough coming. There we go. So, so night two happened, and there was a lot of stuff. It started with the women's triple threat: Io versus Rhea versus Naomi for the women's world championship. This was, I think, gonna be the match of the night for me if the main event didn't go the way that it did. This was like 1B to the main event for me. Really, really well done. Really well done. The only thing that I really have a negative thing to say about it is the ending, like that typical WWE triple threat ending of like, "Hey, the bad guy is gonna come throw the person who's gonna get the pin out of the ring and then steal the pin." It's like it's just a thing that they do a lot, like DQ matches, just or ending matches in DQ rather. Um, it's a trope they go to a lot. Let's get away from that. It'll be a lot better for you if you do that. But Naomi retained, and yeah, it was a good match. I really enjoyed it. Then was the insane ladder match, TLC match for the SmackDown Tag Championships, which I think, yeah, the WWE Tag Team Championship is the SmackDown one. The World Tag Team Champions are on Raw. The chaos in this was pretty nutty, pretty nutty. Um, Ciampa was hanging upside down from the briefcase, from the titles, and then I think it was Nathan Frazier that was going to attack him, and it just lifted his body up. You have to have a lot of strength to do something like that. The quad table spots where everybody's going through the tables. Um, the last one though was Axiom, and I got a little scared there because he really missed a table, and I thought he was gonna like dive right into that barricade. Um, but he was okay, thankfully. Nobody got injured in that match. Incredible. And I really what I thought was interesting too was that the women got involved in this match. Uh, Candace and she she really took the brunt of it with that ladder spot. My goodness. Um, yeah, Candace, BFAB, and Nikki Cross. Uh, they really, really were uh, a good like little added spot to the match where they all just like brawled with each other, and then Candace got put through the ladder. Um, I thought that was a really fun addition to the match. Montez Ford is insane, insane. We all know that already. And Uncle Howdy getting involved as well. And he got put through the ladder that was set up between the ladder and the rope in the ring by Andrade pretty hard. Like that was rough. Um, but the uh the champions retained, which I figured was going to happen. The Wyatt Six retained. Um, but yeah, it was a really good match. It was nuts. It was nuts. Hi, Chris. Nice to see you. Um, the next match was Becky and Lyra. This was interesting because I really liked how they did the ending with Bailey, but there was a clear issue with the zip ties. We all could obviously see. At one point, Lyra is out of the zip ties when she's not supposed to be. And she's just like, oh, like she tried to fix it really quickly, which is good. Like you go on to fix it and make sure that everything was fine. But there's like parts after that, camera shots, like she's up on the ring post at one point, and Like, she could see she's trying to, like, get out of it, but you can see that there's, like, this very clear gap where she can just easily just get that wrist and that hand and just slide it right out, and you have to just suspend your disbelief, obviously, with certain things, but if you're shooting this, if you're on camera and you see that, don't make it that obvious. Don't make it that obvious. But I liked how Bailey was used in this match. She didn't turn. She didn't help Bailey. She didn't help Becky, and she didn't help Lyra. She wasn't there to, I think, really be a. She wasn't there to play a role in the finish of the match. She was just there to attack Becky. And um, there was also this one really weird spot where Lyra goes and gets so Becky is, like, by the announce table, and Lyra goes to, like, almost the other side of the ring to get a table and set it up, and she's got her back facing where Becky is the entire time, not even looking over her shoulder to see if Becky's coming, if she's recovered. Uh, it was weird because it just turned into this, like, little chain spot, and then they moved on. That part was weird. But, then Bailey came out and she got involved, but she essentially ends up costing Lyra. Uh, so that's probably gonna be a thing now, I'm assuming. But yeah, it was a good match. So I particularly liked Bailey's involvement in this. The next match was the steel cage match with Solo and Jacob Fatu. This was kind of the lull point for me, which I was surprised with because I didn't expect to not be as invested in this. I thought I was, because I do feel that Solo has been improving. Um, he feels like way more natural in this, like, troll like character that he's playing. I think he's getting more over as a result. But this just was the classic bloodline match. You're waiting for the heels to come in and interfere, and they did, and Solo won. That's what happens. uh, the classic bloodline match. That's what it is. Um, so that was fine. I wasn't, like, as invested in it really, but I love Jacob Fatu, and I wish nothing but great things for him. AJ Styles and Dominic Mysterio happens after this, and I did not care about this feud really. Uh, I remember saying with JPJ on the preview show last week that I did not like the role that AJ was playing in the feud, but his entrance was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Oh, and speaking of entrances, I forgot to mention this. Naomi's father playing her out, that was really cool. That was really cool. I wanted to mention that. Coming out in the lowrider with his son, AJ did, was awesome. That was really awesome. So, they have their match, and this was, I think, the only non-gimmick match of the whole show, if I remember correctly. right? Yeah, this was the only well, the triple threat well, I mean, it's the triple threat because it's a triple threat is a no DQ, so technically, that's also a gimmick match. So, yeah, so AJ and Dom was the only regular match on the whole show. Um, I'm still in shock sometimes at how over Dominic Mysterio has gone. So, good for him. And I think he'll be a great babyface one day. He really will. Uh, and so what was interesting was they didn't show it while it was happening, but AJ goes for, I believe it was the calf crusher, right? Was it the calf or calf killer, whatever it's called? Um, and Dominic's boot comes off. So the they bump into the referee and he gets distracted for a moment, and then Dominic takes that boot and smacks AJ in the face with it. And then Dominic ends up winning. What I thought was a really good touch was first of all, the double Eddie spot was very funny. That was awesome. Um, what they did was in the replay, they show you that Dominic unzipped his boot to bait AJ into doing the calf crusher. And so that this way, what exactly ended up happening would happen and he would win the match. That was real. They showed that. That was like, oh, wow, that was really smart on Dominic's part. So that's cool. That was really cool. And I hope that they do more stuff like that with him, show that he's smarter than people think he is. Um, yeah, that was great. I really liked that a lot. And then was the main event. Cody Rhodes faced John Cena, and I liked obviously, like I mentioned earlier, he just dropped the heel thing on SmackDown. It was like, "Hey, I'm the babyface John Cena now." Yeah. And I liked what they did with his entrance as well. They do the standard heel entrance that he'd been doing. No lights, just John Cena in white letters on the Tron. And then it goes into the babyface uh entrance. I actually think I would like them to keep that actually. I think that looked really good, especially on the big LED screens. So I would like to for them to keep that. That looked great. Uh so they start out in the ring. At one point, Tyrese Halliburton is ringside and he had his injury in the basketball game that they were playing. I forgot what game it was. I'm not a basketball guy, so don't come to me for basketball takes. But Tyrese Halliburton got injured and he was on crutches. And Cena takes one of the crutches and starts beating up Cody with it. Uh, I hope he got that back, by the way. Hope that was returned to him. Uh, John took the steel steps and he did that like running toss of the steps, which really actually it looks pretty crazy. That spot. Um, then they go into the crowd. They're in the crowd. They get on a barricade. Cena goes through the barricade, not through it, literally, but like power bomb or slam into the barricade, and then they're up by the stage area, and one of the really cool parts of that was Cena gets the better of Cody, and then they disappear under the stage, and you can see that the Cody Vader is open, and Cena coming up the Cody Vader with Cody in the AA position. That was a really fun spot. That was really cool, and gives him the attitude adjustment on the stage. I think twice. They get back down to the ring, and Cena, I think, at one point does a summer a sunset power bomb. I think I said that right. I'm sorry. I don't remember the names of things a lot. Um, sunset flip power bomb. That's what it's called. And his face afterwards, he's like, "Oh my god," like that. That was funny. And so then the end of the match is Cena on the ropes, and Cody is behind him, and then he does this salute, and I really thought that something like a person was coming out at that point, because it looked like it was like that moment. Like there were a couple of spots in the match where both of them were down. And I was like, "Oh, here's the Rock's music," or heaven forbid, Fiend. Um, but Cody does the salute, pins John Cena, becomes the champion. Uh, no Rock, no Travis Scott, no anybody up to that point. No anybody. And then Cody raises John's hand. They embrace, and Cody just leaves. And I was like, "Oh, okay." The match was great. It genuinely was great. But this like anticipation of like what's happening, what's gonna happen, like is The Rock actually gonna come back? Seems like no at this point. Um, so okay. So they just nixed the Cena heel stuff, which sucks. It really sucks because that had legs. That could have been the moment itself in March at Elimination Chamber was unreal. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Uh, and after WrestleMania, or at WrestleMania, it bombed. After WrestleMania, it stunk. Really, it stunk really up until like our truth stuff. It got a little better with the our truth stuff. But then when they realized Rock and Travis are not around anymore, they're not getting involved in this. All right, Cena's babyface again. That's all. So, yeah, they fumbled it, Scott. They really did. Um, but I'm sure there will be some sort of spin put on the next season of WWE Unreal where, oh, this was our plan, and because they're gonna control their narrative and do all that dumb bullshit. So, whatever. Uh, and then of course the thing happens after Cody leaves, which I talked about at length at the beginning of the show, and I want to talk about again. That was the WWE stuff. Um, so Yeah, I didn't watch Raw. I'm not gonna, at least for the time being, only because I'm just not invested and of everything. Like I said before, everything that I said before, I'm just I got to take a break from this, and we'll see. You know, I love certain people in WWE, so I'm not saying I'm not watching WWE at all, but the coverage and the promotion of it necessary for podcasting, I just can't do. Can't do it. So that's why we're taking a hiatus here. Uh, Now, when it comes to yeah, Fernando, at this point, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if we see Vince McMahon again in some capacity because they don't give a shit. Uh, I want to briefly get into Dynamite that happened last night. Some stuff happened that I genuinely loved. Um, there, the show started with an MJF promo, and yep, most likely, I feel you. Most likely, he'll be there for Cena's last match, which I wanted to go to. I was thinking of making the trip up to Massachusetts for it. Uh, Ain't gonna happen now. Tell you that. Raw. Oops, sorry. Raw. Raw was in Brooklyn, Barclays Center, 20 minutes from my house on Monday. Hell no, didn't happen. Um. So yeah, MJF started the show talking about Briscoe and also calling out Hangman Adam Page. He said he was talking about Mark Briscoe being talking about that he's not going to get to he's not going to go to heaven because he said that he would have to do unspeakable things that he wouldn't be able to show remorse for to MJF. And MJF is like, well, I happen to be the devil. I have a stupid little like fly flying around. So if you see me doing this once in a while, I apologize. He called Mark Briscoe a blue collar bitch. Said that he's gonna send him straight to hell, back to Delaware, dumpster fire, Delaware, and he'll be a loser chicken farmer there. So the first match that happened was John Moxley versus Speedball Mike Bailey, and that was really fun. And the particular moment that happened that I was like, oh, something good is happening here, was when Kevin Knight comes out and gets in Marina Shafir's face, and they're like bumping heads. I was like, oh, what's going on here? That would be an interesting intergender match. Um, Literally just almost flew into my eye. Uh yeah, I was like, oh. And then Moxley gets in his face too, and he takes his shirt off, and he's like, come on, like they get into the fighting stance. And then of course next week Moxley is going to face Kevin Knight. It's going to be incredible as well. Uh Moxley ends up winning, but man, what a match that was. And at some point, Darby comes out and takes Wheeler Yuta. He grabs Wheeler Yuta over the barricade and drags him out. So as soon as the match is over, Marina and Mox book it out of there to go look for Wheeler. Um, Tony Storm and Alex Windsor get interviewed backstage, and this was really funny. This was really funny. Tony says you can beat them down, but you can't beat them off. And then Alex Windsor was like, well, like trying to stop Tony from being classic Tony Storm. And but then she says, you can't give her a lick without giving a lick back. And then she's just like, oh no, I'm doing it too. The realization that she was also doing the same thing was very funny. So they tango off together. And then they go to the back and they're following Mox and Marina Shafir, and there's a body bag there outside on the ground, and Darby speeds away. And then they unzip the body bag. Wheeler Yuta's in there, and there's a note on his forehead that just says "Forbidden Door." So I think we know what's happening there. Then we had the four-way of Alex Windsor, Billy Starks, Queen Aminata, Blue Sky. I was going to say Blue Sky. They're real Queen Aminata, man. Oh, she is so good. She, I hope, is featured on TV more because she's really killing it right now. I think that's by design, Scott. I think that's on purpose that he wrestles more elsewhere than in AEW. Because you're in AEW, you want him to be there more, and now he's the CMLL champion. I don't know what the name of the championship is. But I like that integration with him and CMLL. Alex Windsor ends up winning this match, pinning Billy Starks. Mercedes Moné comes down with all her belts, goes to the ring to square up with Alex Windsor, and then the funny thing that Mercedes did was she made Aubrey Edwards take all of her belts except the TBS Championship, and Athena was coming to help, but I'm sorry, Tony Storm was coming out to help, and Athena attacked Tony Storm. So there was that moment with like Mercedes and Athena, but they didn't attack each other. But that was an interesting little thing that happened between them. So maybe more things will happen there in the future. That would be interesting. So Renee is backstage with the Young Bucks, and they go to a crew member. I believe his name is Charlie, if I remember seeing from vlogs and whatever. I think his name is Charlie. And they're demanding a proper entrance. They're like, you better give us our music. You better give us what we usually get. And they're like, oh, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. They're gonna get their entrance. So, the Don Callis family come out. There's something in the ring under a curtain, a tarp, whatever. And they're talking about, of course, Kyle Fletcher being the new TNT champion. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Very happy for him. Trying to get, heat for the accolade of retiring a legend because Unfortunately, Dustin Rhodes has to go and get, I think it was double knee surgery, if I'm remembering correctly. Best wishes. I hope, he recovers from that and maybe can have another match if he's able to, of course. Because that match with Kyle Fletcher for the TNT Championship was incredible. It was way better than I thought it was going to be. So, best wishes to Dustin Rhodes. Um, Kyle asks Don to reveal, what this thing is, and it is a portrait made in a similar vein to the one that he had made with Kenny years ago, where both of their shirts are off, and they're, well, I'll say in Don's case, way more muscular than real life. Uh, and it almost looks like Kyle Fletcher is naked and just has the TNT title covering his penis. um, it's a very funny image. And I believe, if I remember correctly, it was from, I don't remember her name. Mel Coleman. Thank you, Scott. Mel Coleman. Uh, or Mel Coleman, who does really, really, I think she also did the Kenny and Don Callis one as well. And she did the one with the Young Bucks. Was it Young Bucks and Callis? There's one with the Young Bucks, I think, and I remember she did that as well. She just does a very good job on those. Hats off to her. I wish I had a skill like that, honestly. Um, Mel Coleman. Uh, so Don says he knows that Fletcher is going to be the greatest TNT champion of all time, and he memorializes him as a great with that art from Mel Coleman. Oh, it was the Last Supper. That's what it was. Yes. Phenomenal, phenomenal painting that was. Um, so then Adam Copeland is interviewed backstage, uh, acknowledges that Christian Cage showed zero remorse last week before he was concertoed by Kip and Nick Wayne. And he turns his attention, of course, then to FTR and Stokely Hathaway, and he knows that he can't get within 200 feet of them. But he went to Tony Khan, and he got a match made. It's going to be Copeland versus Stokely Hathaway next week. And the stipulation in that is if FTR get involved, then the restraining order is null and void, and he can then attack FTR, because also FTR can't attack Adam Copeland. So that's going to be a very, very fun match next week, to say the least. The highlight of the night happened next, and that was Brodito versus Max and Jeremy. And I didn't know what this was in reference to until later, because I'm not like a story-long wrestling fan. But Max and Jeremy Buck were the Young Bucks at one point. I don't know if it was in TNA or I don't know where it was from. They were called Generation Me. So the Young Bucks, so Brodito come out, and then the Young Bucks come out, and they have their music. It looks like it's going to be a normal entrance. Oh, thank you, Scott. It was TNA. Okay. there's the starts rising, and then it stops, and you can just see their feet, and it doesn't move, and they're like you can see their hands, they're trying to, like, pull it up, and they have to crawl underneath that thing, that board, whatever that is. They have to crawl underneath it, and they're so mad. The music is still playing, but they go to pose, and these, like, loud explosions happen, and there's nothing. There's no pyro, there's no anything, and this one little shot of pyro just shoots up, like, almost like an Orange Cassidy entrance. Just poof, and then another little one, poof. And then the music stops, and it turns into this, like, ice cream truck sounding music, and then the same troll Titantron that they've been doing with the Matt and Nick and the silly letters and them getting beat at All In. It's just this is awesome. This this is maybe my favorite version of the Young Bucks, honestly. Uh So they have a phenomenal match, I think it was a 2 or 3 segment match with Brodito. Um, just absolutely wild. Enziguris and friggin' the I can't even say everything that happened because there was a lot. There was a lot that happened. But surprisingly, Brodito ended up winning and not the Young Bucks. And I thought the Young Bucks were gonna win and go to face FTR. No, I was genuinely surprised at that. JPJ and I both predicted that they would lose to the Outrunners. The Outrunners ended up losing. So because they had won there, I figured, oh well, they're gonna go all the way. They're gonna go to FTR. But no, Brodito ended up winning. It was a great surprise. I'm really happy for them. Um, and yeah, the downfall of the Broke Bucks continues. So now Renee Paquette. So this is interesting. Renee Paquette is interviewing the Hurt Syndicate, talking about Brodito, and they put over Brodito and the match with FTR and Brodito that's coming up. And MJF rolls up, and immediately Bobby and Shelton just walk off. They're like, "No, we don't want any part of this." And MJF tells MVP, you've known me since I was 18, and MVP doesn't need Bobby and Shelton. It can just be the two of them, and we can get the Triple B, the big belt, uh, his Triple B. I think it's Big Beautiful Belt, right? Um, but MVP is just like, well, no. The Hurt Syndicate is about the Hurt Syndicate. It's about everybody in the Hurt Syndicate. We, we hurt people, but you are all about you. Me, I. And they just, he gives his own thumbs down and walks off. So MJF is officially out of the Hurt Syndicate, if that was not obvious already. And so there was a story that came out a day or two ago about MVP. It was interesting. Speedball Mike Bailey was involved. Apparently, they disliked each other. I didn't read the entire thing. I don't know exactly what the whole thing was. But there was mention of MVP politicking and dictating who is gonna be the one to take the titles off of Bobby and Shelton and being a problem backstage and, the classic stuff, which may or may not be true. I can't tell you for sure. But after the show last night, I don't know if you guys have seen this because it's actually very funny. There's a video of MVP and Bobby and Shelton walking backstage somewhere, and MVP just like looks off to the side, and he's like, "Oh, hold on, guys, come here." And it turns out Speedball is standing there holding his camera, and maybe it was like doing his vlog, and he walks up to Speedball, and he's like, "Fuck you, Speedball." And Speedball looks at him and was like, "Well, fuck you too, MVP." And MVP points to Bobby and Shelton, and he's like, "Come on, come on." And they both just look at each other, and then they put their head down, and they both go, "Uh, fuck you, Speedball." And it looks like he is the dad, and he's telling his sons, "You better say it now. You better say it now." And then MVP and then, Speedball just says, "Oh, fuck you guys as well." And then they walk off and he waves, and then MVP comes back and waves in Speedball's camera, in his vlog camera, and walks off. I That was genuinely funny. If you've not seen that, you've gotta go see that. It's somewhere on social media. Um, that now again, was that mean that the story wasn't true and they actually didn't hate each other? I don't know. I don't work there. I'm not a privy to this information. I only know what you know, what gets reported. So, um, that was a very funny interaction. And if there was real heat between MVP and Speedball, it shows you the type of people that they are that they did that segment. Because as we know, in the past, there have been problems. And those people did not squash those problems. And well, we all know what we're talking about. So um yeah, so that was very funny. Go seek that out. I think I retweeted it, so it's on my Twitter at the Dude Nicholas if you want to go find it there. So FTR get interviewed backstage. They're talking about being stressed about the tag finals. Now they have to deal with Copeland, and they know that Stokely is a bigger and braver man. And Stokely gets on the mic and calls Copeland a bully, but he's short, bald, and he can't get hose. So he's been fighting his entire life. That's what Stokely said. Um, he's like, "Oh well, next week you're gonna have to go home to your wife and kids and tell them that Big Stoke pinned you in the ring." So that was a very funny interaction. Uh, Swerve Strickland comes out with Prince Nana, um, talking about the unified championship match he's going to have with Okada at Forbidden Door. Very good promo. He said Okada stared at him and saw fear and saw death, and put the fear of God into him, and he's going to continue his legacy and stand in the middle of the O2 arena with his arm raised as the unified champion. So I'm very interested in that match. I'm seeing what happens there. Then Mark Briscoe gets interviewed. He says time for words is behind him. He's going to talk with his fists. He's having a main event match with MJF. They have their grudge match. And in that match, Oh, there was also, there was, a backstage segment with Willow and Queen Aminata, and then, Chris Statlander rolls up and is, like, hugging them, and she's like, I don't know, there's something going on with Chris Statlander right now, and Willow is not having it. So, we'll see what happens there. So the main event, Mark Briscoe, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, um, went long. They have been going over 10 PM lately for a while now, I think, for, like, at least a couple, maybe, like, 2, 3 months. It's nice that they get this overrun. Uh, I'm loving the more serious side of Mark. Uh, this, like, renewed, almost like Jay Briscoe is coming out a little bit, you know? Like, he's dropping that, like, full-on comedy. He hasn't dropped it completely, which I think is good, but, um, it's really nice to see this version of Mark Briscoe, and this version of Mark Briscoe, I think, is gonna do really good things in AEW. I really do. But Maxwell Jacob Friedman ends up winning, of course. I mean, you knew that was gonna happen, but it was a very good match. Um, then after the match, MJF is beating up Mark, and Hangman comes out to save him. Uh, Hangman then goes over the barricade following MJF, and they start brawling in the crowd. And Max ends up, like, escaping, and Hangman goes back to check on Mark Briscoe. But then Max gets back, I think. Was that what happened? Max. Yeah, so they get back to ringside and brawl as well. And then Max runs up the ramp. That's what happened. Um, so yeah, so that was Dynamite, and it was a very good show. I really enjoyed it. Uh, I To close here, 'cause now we're at the end. Um, I promise you that I am not, like, nothing about my decision to step away from this has anything to do with tribalism, because I actually understand and am fine with people watching a company that I don't want to watch. Isn't that a beautiful thing when you don't be tribalistic to other people, and just let them watch and enjoy what they want to watch and enjoy? Um, if you were not here at the start of the show, I will say once again, this is the last Firmly Inc. for now. It may come back at some point. Um, JPJ was unable to join me today because he had work obligations, and he wasn't going to be able to join next week either because of the same work obligations. But I made the decision that I do not feel comfortable covering WWE in the way that Firmly Inc. requires it, as JPJ and I agreed on. So, Firmly Inc. will be taking a hiatus. This is the last episode for now. And I would like to thank, genuinely, everybody that has been with us and supported us. I see you all over Love Wrestling. It's not like it's just Firmly Inc. It's also Between Two Beards. It's also for exposure. It's also Saturday Night Live. I mean, you guys are here for everything, and I speak on behalf of Love Wrestling. I know. I don't have to ask them. I know I speak on behalf of Love Wrestling when I say thank you to all of you who come to our shows and watch our shows. Also, if you go to LPW as well and watch LPW shows, um, Spencer Love, like I said before, is doing an incredible job with Love Pro Wrestling, and he's got my he's got my full support, 100%. I I will support him in that. I'm really happy that he's able to do that, and that he's putting on all these awesome shows for the for the Canada, for most, the Canada, in that area in Canada, but also that they are able to broadcast those shows as well. Um, so of course JPJ will be on tonight, on Between Two Beards. I don't know if he's gonna speak about Firmly Inc. at all. Um, he doesn't have to. I'm not saying he has to. I'm just saying, if he'll just address anything. If he doesn't have to, that's fine. Um, he was here in the chat today. I greatly appreciate that while he's fulfilling those work obligations. Um, so, for everybody that's here right now, for Fernando, Scott, Sandy, Ophelia, Tanner was here, Chris was here, Astrid was here. Um, Thank you. Oh, and Asian Joe was here too. I didn't even see. I think that maybe when I was looking at some stuff that I had prepared to talk about. Asian Joe, I'm so sorry I didn't see your comment. That I'm going out of my way. I'm going out on my back putting JPJ over. I didn't see that comment. I'm sorry. Um, Zach Minger was also here in earlier as well. And everybody that's been here. Uh, this is not really a goodbye for forever, And again, you could follow me at the Drew Nicholas Twitter Blue Sky. I'm not vanishing. I'm still going to be active. We'll still be able to talk. Maybe I'll pop into like Beards once in a while. Another Love Wrestling show. Zach as well. I want to thank Zach, who's made all of our graphics, our intro, our logos. A phenomenal, phenomenal person to work with. I really thank you, Zach, very much. Um, and that's going to be it. So, for all of us here at the Firmly Inc. headquarters, thank you for watching. And until next time, I'm in a circle, so I have to make sure that my peace sign is able to be seen. Until next time, peace out.